just getting ready to go in and do the show. It's actually quite pleasant right now. I know there's this heat warning thing in effect, but I wouldn't worry about keeping the air on right now. Yeah. All right. Oh, hey, yeah, I gotta go. Cheers. Hey, welcome to season 3, episode 24 of Niagara 411 Live with WeeStream. That would be me. We are fueled by Gales Gas Bars Limited. We are also supported by Performance Heating and Air, as well as the Virgin Insurance Group, and powered by Canada's premier streaming service, WeeStream, and our executive producer, Kevin Jack, you will meet in just a couple of minutes, as long as he doesn't trip over the sign right out here in front of Fiddler's Poorhouse, where we are once again very, very pleased to be bringing you this live and in living color and audio TV show via Facebook and Niagara 411. Come on in. We've got some updates for you on some ongoing stories. Trina Blagden's funeral was this past Sunday, and that story is nearing closure. I'm not sure that it's actually at that stage completely, but at least this was one big important step. Kevin was there, and he'll give us the details on that. Also, Nick Adamson is a gentleman that went missing, you might remember, in the early hours of March the 17th. And his brother Jordan is going to be coming back on the program today in about 20 minutes or so, as Nick is still not missing. He has vanished without a trace, as they say. Other things have been happening in Niagara over the last week or so, and we'll bring you up to date with those. And we will always, and again, remind you that this is your show. This is Niagara's show, and we'll tell you how you can get engaged and bring whatever topic you would like to onto the program today. So we'll check you out in 30 seconds. Come on back. And here we are on June the 15th, 2022 already, for season 3, episode 24 of Niagara 411 Live with WeeStream. We had bright sunshine and super hot temperatures not, even an hour and a half ago or so, but we've got some overcast skies in Niagara right now, a little bit of a breeze. It's actually a very comfortable day in spite of that official heat warning that is in effect. I don't think it is going to amount to much here. They were talking about the Hamilton part of Niagara, I guess north, being maybe the hardest affected by that. Kevin Jack, ladies and gentlemen, is there on the right bottom half, or quarter, if you will, of your screen. And again, have we got your microphone on there?
Yeah, I just muted myself, Lee. I just was just going to remind everybody that I just shared the video, and I encourage everybody watching to do that as well. Just click the little share button, and I'll buy you some time to do that as well, Lee. It's so easy to do so.
You tell me how to do that.
Yeah, you just go down. You're watching the video right now. Down in the bottom right corner, there's going to be a little share button, and just choose share now. Mm-hmm. And that way, all your friends on your Facebook feed are going to be able to see this show.
And share.
There you go.
Share now. Ta-da.
And of course, we want more people around Niagara to know what we do here on a weekly basis. Lee, on Saturday morning, WeeStream volunteered our tech and our time to stream the funeral service for Katrina Blagden, and there we were at George Dart Funeral Home, and I just forgot to get the lady's name, but I want to wish a great hello to one of the workers there, and she said she watches the show every single week. She does not miss it, and she does not miss an episode. She misses the show. She doesn't miss an episode, and how she lived a couple houses down from one of the family members, from Katrina, actually, I think.
Oh, okay.
And that's how she kind of got to know the family, and she was also volunteering her time Saturday morning.
Well, first of all, kudos to you and WeeStream for doing that. as a service to the family. And there's some video of the rather low key, and you can imagine that it would be. A lot of emotions running through that group that's there. The funeral of Katrina Blagden, who went missing on New Year's Eve 2021. And again, there's a lot about the story that we're not happy that we don't know, and maybe one day we'll be able to, as emotions become a little less raw, perhaps we'll be able to talk in greater detail about at least some conjecture about the disappearance and the death of Trina Blagden. I believe that's her brother, is it not, Kevin?
Yeah, it was. He was, I'll say, the only member of the family who spoke. There were other members, but they had readings, if you know what I mean, the difference.
Right.
He told stories, and he spoke more about Katrina and about
more
the
of
family.
a eulogized sort of
Exactly.
presentation.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, again, our prayers and our thoughts to the Blagden family. Perhaps it's something that you'll never ever feel that you're finished with, because I don't think you really can be, but at least this is an important step along that path of being able to reconcile yourself with what happened to your family member. So that was thanks for bringing that in here, Cap. As I mentioned also, Nicholas Adamson, known to friends and family as Nick, he went missing in the early hours of St. Patrick's Day. Now, this was not a St. Patrick's Day celebration. This was, I guess you would have called it the night of March 16th, right, Kev?
Yeah.
So they were with friends in a bar. There was drinking. There was probably over imbibing, etc. So Nick went out of the estate. What was the name of the place again?
I think it was at the Moose and Goose,
Moose
which is
and
the
Goose,
old Club 54, I think it was called, in Thorold.
Yeah.
Right there downtown Thorold.
So Nick went outside. He talked to his mom on the phone. Needed to, I believe the story, as the story goes, or wanted to borrow some money, and she was going to oblige. He was not allowed back into the club because it was pretty much last call or closing time, and he had already had something to drink. His friends were inside the club at the time, and that was it. Since that time, Nicholas Adamson has been missing. No trace. Now, there are a lot of places you can end up in Niagara with the number of waterways that we have, et cetera, that I suppose could be places that someone goes that you'd never be found. And, but nevertheless, to bring us up to date with the people that are closest to him, his brother Jordan is going to be joining us in about 10 minutes or so. Kevin, one of the things that jumped out at us this week as well is the number of deaths, the number of families that are and still and continue to be and have been affected by this opioid crisis. And one of the interesting stories that came out this week is a fellow that was arrested here in Niagara because he was the one that sold. He was the dealer, if you will, or supplier to a person who died. But the deal happened, what, 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
Yeah, and I'm just having
story.
Just having some internet trouble on my side. I want to pull up the story, but my best recollection is there was a dealer, and he was originally charged with a few things in relation to a man's death, a man's overdose death.
Right.
And those charges were laid, let's say, 2 months ago. And this past week, I think it was last Thursday, Friday, I don't know if it was toxicology reports, but further investigation, and then they now charged the drug dealer with manslaughter. And I've never seen that before.
No. It's probably happened, but we've never been made aware of it. So it's almost like he is being charged with the death of someone who OD'd on
And it was
fentanyl.
Yeah, it was identified as fentanyl. And sorry, here it's just I got to scroll back about a week or what have you. I've never seen that before, and almost more alarming than that, Lee, was the number of people that commented from right here in Niagara. Now, just so you know, that dealer was actually from Hamilton.
Okay.
And the first set of charges landed him in jail. So when they upgraded the charges, I mean, the guy was right there already. But so many people commenting from Niagara with similar stories or having lost somebody close to them, a family member, from an opioid overdose.
It's unbelievable, truly, how still prevalent deaths are from this drug. And
I don't think we talk enough about it. We hear about.
We don't. We talked. This is when I was in my previous life doing talk radio. It's something that I actually vowed I wouldn't do, and I wouldn't let it go to the back burner. Well, I guess I wasn't able to keep my promise because I haven't mentioned it on this program as much as I should have, because it has sort of gone to the back burner. And once it becomes not any more prevalent on, if you will, the lead headlines of the day, people tend to figure that we've gotten past it. Well, we have not gotten past it by any way, shape, or form. Our law enforcement and our health systems deal with opioid overdoses and deaths every single day. Way, way, way too many. On March 29th, NRPS detectives assigned to 1 District St. Catharines and Thorold commenced an investigation into the death of a 32-year-old man who was found deceased in his apartment located in the Roehampton Avenue area of the city of St. Catharines. That's right around the corner from where I live, and these things happen, and it just makes you shudder. In partnership with NRPS detectives assigned to the Opioid Enforcement and Education Unit, investigators identified criminality resulting in the arrest of 2 adult individuals from the city of Hamilton. I wish some of these phrases could be explained. Identified criminality.
Yeah, but I mean, these are the original charges, right? So take motor vehicle without consent. And there was a female that was also charged, right, with take motor vehicle without consent. But then here's where the story gets interesting.
Further investigation into the death of the 32-year-old male revealed his death was directly related to the consumption of an illegally obtained opioid, specifically fentanyl. On Friday the 10th, the 33-year-old male from the city of Hamilton, who is currently in custody at the Hamilton Wentworth Detention Center, appeared via video link to the Robert S.K. Welch Courthouse on Church Street here in St. Catharines. During his court appearance, he was charged with the following 3 offenses: manslaughter, trafficking a controlled substance, failed to comply with a release order, and the 2 persons charged are not being identified, as doing so would identify witnesses and compromise the integrity of the investigation through the judicial process. So this is a bit of one of those tangled webs we weave sort of stories. It sounds like everybody kind of knew each other, Kevin.
And I mean, yeah, and here's where it, you know what, and here's a little trick. If people don't see that, you can sort by newest, which gets you all comments. Right. And I mean, here's people, how about some charges laid to the Sackler family for pushing such a murderous product in the first place? So they're naming people by name.
Yeah, so these people are known to other people. They won't ever be charged because they're rich and powerful. So,
yeah, now again, I don't want to speculate here, but
I don't know if that's true.
The number of people, I mean, here's Robin Miller, and she posts.
War on drugs will never end. We need to tackle addiction and mental health. That's when these losers, I just lost it. We just jigged.
Sorry, I think it loaded those other comments. Here you go.
That's when these losers will lose their profits since no one will be using anymore. Sad people have to die. I've lost a few friends. A few friends. That's a big statement to make. I've lost a few friends from OD. I wish they had gotten help. Wow.
Let's see here.
Why isn't anyone held responsible for their own actions? Oh, I think they are.
So I mean, the number of people that actually said, look, this has happened to me. I've lost somebody close.
But that's such a, I mean, these are not the drugs of the 60s.
Here's Patricia.
I wish they would have done this when my daughter died 2 years ago. It's about time they started nailing the ones distributing of manslaughter. And it may be, Kevin, as we go forward, that there is a more of a trend to actually hold the people selling the product to these people directly responsible for their deaths. Usually overdoses are thought of as almost like suicides or accidental deaths.
Look at Paula's story here.
Stacy, older, my brother-in-law, did the same thing to his own brother in 2013, my late ex. Then OD'd in a motel room 3 years later. WTF leaves anyone alone after they just did a big hit and passed out? Karma. It's a dirty world, drugs. It's just.
Here's another person, Stacy.
And it doesn't mean that people are bad people.
My family member is dead thanks to her.
Wow.
I mean, it's just, and again, Lee, we talk about the opioid crisis, but I don't know that we ever talk about it in a human way. We talk about there being a crisis, but I don't see these stories that we're reading here from somebody saying,
no.
I lost my brother-in-law. I lost my daughter. I lost my sister. I've lost a few friends.
And those are the stories that need to be told, and I'm glad we're addressing it here today because, again, it's the ostrich syndrome. As long as we don't hear about it, it's like our heads are in the sand, and we figure, well, I guess it's being dealt with. People know that it's out there, and we're doing okay. Well, we're not doing okay. And this cutting of fentanyl mixed with other drugs, a lot of times people do not know, Kevin, that they're taking fentanyl. A lot of them they do. Sometimes they don't. And
I mean, there's another scary comment.
And then the amounts are. Nobody knows what the amount. Sorry, you were going to say?
No, sorry. I saw another scary comment here, and I'll see if I can dig it up, about somebody saying they lost their son when he was sold weed that was laced with fentanyl.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. And
I mean,
why
that's
do people do that?
I have no idea.
Because you're killing your customers.
And I'll tell you that nobody that went to buy some weed signed up for fentanyl. Like those two things, I want to say, are worlds apart. Some may disagree, but
oh no, they're definitely worlds apart. But again, I still don't understand why the dealers, pushers, whatever you call them, want to do that and kill their customers, because it's what's happening. Because don't you want them as repeat customers? I mean, don't you? I do not get the motivation, Kevin. I don't understand it. Because if the people are buying weed, as you said, they're not planning on buying fentanyl, usually. Now, fentanyl's cheap, but if they don't know they're buying it, they're not paying for it. Like there's just so many nonsensical angles to this concept. And I'm not part of the drug world, so I guess somebody, please go on the link in this show and explain it to us why this happens. If you've got more experience with this world than I do, and most people do, so I mean, I grew up in the era of weed, of course, and there were some that LSD was big. That was the big hallucinogenic drug of the day, etc. But this stuff and drugs killed people back then. Make no mistake about it. But this is almost past epidemic stage. Joining us on the program, Jordan Adamson, brother of Nicholas Adamson, who went missing, as I mentioned, in the wee small hours of the morning of March 17th, actually the night of March 16th into March 17th. Jordan, welcome back to the show. And one of the things that when we talked to you the last time, and we've talked about on this show, we don't want to forget people just because they're not in the headlines every single day. And the disappearance of your brother is still befuddling to us. How you doing?
Oh, are you muted, buddy?
You may be muted there. Sorry, pal.
Thank you.
We can see you. We can't hear you.
All right, let me see if I can figure this one out, Lee.
All right.
Figured out behind the scenes here. It looks good to me. Maybe it's just going to be one of those days.
Okay.
It's really. Oh, you know what? That's on me, Lee.
All right.
All right, let's try this again.
Have we got you, Jordan?
Hello?
There you go, mate. All
Can you
right.
hear me?
So yes, we can hear you, Jordan. We've got it figured out. You heard what I said, so we'll ask it again. How are you doing?
The family's just trying to manage.
How do you do that day after day?
Just trying to spend time with each other and look after each other.
Has there been any further communication, Jordan, between you and any investigators or law enforcement or any other groups at all?
We talk with the groups. We haven't really heard any new information from any detectives or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot of people that go out and do these search parties for him, and that's really good.
I'm sure that you and your family and Nick's friends, etc., anybody that was in contact with him in any way that night, relive this night over and over and over again. Can you think of anything different that that you've thought of since the late hours of 16th and early hours of March 17th? Any epiphanies, I guess, or anything else?
We have no new information. Nothing that would give us any new insight into what happened. So
Okay.
it's just a lot of questions, but no answer.
Yeah, I'm sorry to add to that, but in the interest of not wanting to forget about your brother, we do like to, and we look to have these, and I know these conversations are difficult for you to have, so I appreciate you agreeing to come talk to us. And I guess the only questions I could ask would be more open-ended questions that you can't answer. Is there? But I'll do this anyway. I'm sorry, but it seems just so implausible that someone, as they say, vanishes into thin air without a trace. And how do you? What do you? In your deepest, darkest moments, what do you think happened?
I don't know. I think if it was a situation where it was an accident or something, we would have found him by now. So if he could have been found, I know everyone has checked all around the world. If it was an accident, him slipping or anything like that, I think we would have found him by now.
He had a cell phone with him, did he not? Because did he talk? Correct me if I'm wrong, but did he talk to your mom that night?
Yes, that's right. He was calling from someone else's phone, so he didn't have his own phone with him. So we couldn't call back on that phone.
Did he leave his phone in the bar?
Yeah, he left it with his friends, I believe.
So somebody still has it. So somebody still has his phone.
We have his phone now. We had it. Yes.
And there's been no communication to it or whatever.
No.
Since that night. Okay. Now, the person whose phone he was he using that outside or inside the club? Outside?
Yes, outside.
Then what happened? What happened to that phone, Jordan?
The phone died, we believe, because he eventually stopped calling.
Did his friend get the phone back?
No.
No. So the phone disappeared with Nick.
Yes, that's right.
Wow.
From the detectives traced, the tower it pinged off last, and it was in Thorold, close to the club.
And then that was it.
And then that was the last ping it had. Yeah, that was that night.
Okay. And then there was the connection to, or a potential connection to, a bowling alley, right?
I'm sorry?
A bowling alley or something nearby that somebody thought he might have gone to? No?
There's
All right.
No.
I missed that. What was that part of the story, Kevin?
I think talking about the boxing club or something.
Oh, the boxing club. I'm sorry, I said bowling alley.
He seemed to think he was at a boxing club, but from everything that we know, he was still in Thorold at that time.
Okay.
Not at the St. Catharines. So we've stopped looking at that because he was in Thorold when he was calling and saying that he was at the boxing club.
Okay.
So he must have misunderstood where he was at the time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Jordan, I'm just going to hop in here. I'm a member of the Please Help Us Find Nick Facebook group. People are very active on there. You've got a good team behind the search, and people are searching. What's the best way for people to get involved? And I guess second to that, through the efforts on Facebook over the course of the last month and a half, have you come up with any clues or anything due to those people's efforts?
I know they do the search parties. There's the Please Help Us Find Nick page is a good page, and the Missing Nicholas Adamson page is also a page for my brother. I know the Niagara Area Crime Watch and Missing Persons page also has done a few pieces or shared a few pieces about my brother. But we, as far as the searches and everything, we haven't been able to find anything that would give us any new insight into what's happening or what happened.
Are the NRPS still actively investigating, to your knowledge?
I know that they changed detectives. That's I'm not sure how much they're actively pursuing it.
Okay, I don't want to put you through any more. As always, appreciate you bringing us up to date. We don't want your brother to be forgotten just because time goes by. So, and Kevin says he's a member of the group that is always up to date with any of the efforts that are underway to locate Nick, and we'll probably reach out from time to time if you don't mind. And I know it's hard, but thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for keeping my brother's name out there.
All the best to your family, okay, Jordan?
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. Cannot imagine, Kevin, cannot. I mean, we can think about how we would feel, but I don't think we have any idea the scope of emotions that come connected with something like that when it's a close family member. And we've had, and people have said this, made comments on Niagara 411 often about, wow, it seems like we've lost a lot of people. It seems like we've had a loss, like disappearances. We've got the Tarina Blagdens, we've got the Nick Adamson, the gentleman we talked about last week from Niagara on the Lake, Werner, that a lot of people had comments on over the course of the week after seeing our show from last week, trying to keep these people's names and identities and lives forefront in Niagara because it's so easy to forget, Cav, that these people are, and there's so many more that go missing. You see it every single week.
I'm always happy when I see there was one this week of a missing woman in Welland, and then found. I'm like, oh, thank God. And unfortunately, we've seen too much of it. I mean, we were all gripped to the disappearance of Katrina Blagden. Hopefully, we're all now gripped to the disappearance of Nicholas Adamson.
Well, we should have been gripped right at the beginning because
I just don't know. I really think about the human side of it. And I mean, you could hear the emotion in Jordan's voice.
They're a wreck.
He's broken. There's no closure. You don't know.
And as dramatic and unfortunate as the locating of Trina Blagden's body was, and as hard as that is to take, at least you know. You don't know everything, and that still bugs me that we don't know more from law enforcement than we do. But over time, it will probably eke its way out there through many channels of communication through Niagara. But just to completely and utterly not know at all, like a puff of smoke or being abducted by aliens or whatever the hell it is, that has to just grind on friends and family when that happens to anybody. And the thing about Niagara is, yes, we live in a beautiful area, but we also live in a treacherous area. There, you talk about Feulled and Welland, just about, and many places around Niagara with the old and the new canals and the different bogs and the different fields and lakes, and there are a lot of things that if you take the wrong step, you end up in the wrong place. Here in Niagara, we are a very multi-challenged area topographically, and boy, it's hard to make guesses as to where people can end up. Other things that continue to, it seems, escalate in frequency are violent crimes or hit and runs and deaths by either accident or design. And there were a number of those, Kevin, in Niagara here in the past week. Let's start with the sad story of 3 cyclists. Now, we're not talking about people training for the triathlon here. We're talking about 3 migrant workers that have been working, at least the person that passed away had been working at this one particular place for something like 15 years. He is from Mexico. He has 3 children. He's about 35 years old, has a wife and 3 children at home that he works to send money to, and he was one of 3 people that were hit by what we believe was a white Ford Edge vehicle. It was a hit and run. The vehicle disappeared. The police were called to the scene, and all 3 people were treated at the scene. The one was in critical condition. They were transported to hospital, and this one fellow passed away. The deceased is a 36-year-old man living and working in St. Catharines. The 2 injured persons are both males, one 36, the other 42. Also both living and working in St. Catharines. The 2 injured men remain in hospital with serious injuries. All 3 men are residents of Mexico working at an area farm. Cause of collision remains under investigation. No charges have been laid in relation to this investigation. I would think that they're still searching for the vehicle. If not, they haven't said otherwise. But 3 people, Kevin, not just 3 people together, and this man was walking his bicycle. He wasn't even riding his bike, so he wouldn't have been swerving out into traffic or anything of that nature. He was actually walking his bicycle.
Yeah, and here's a little more insight, Lee. In the comments, somebody left the link to the GoFundMe campaign that has already surpassed its goal. And here we get to see again more of the human element. I live right at the base of 7th, And when I saw this man's picture, Fermin, the deceased, I honestly think I've seen this guy numerous times. That he's been coming to
You
work
may
at
have.
the same farm for 11 years.
Fermin Soto Sanchez. The GoFundMe page is up. $22,000 has been raised to help his family defray costs of his tragic passing. And Kevin showed you a close-up of him there. Being hit by an SUV while walking his bicycle on the side of the road a kilometer from the house where he lived as a migrant worker. Fermin was with his two friends and co-workers at the time of the accident. All three were hit by the vehicle. His two friends, Alfonso and Francisco, are expected to survive, but sadly Fermin passed away from his injuries. Spring Valley Gardens, a popular spot in Niagara, is the greenhouse where he worked for 11 years. Kind, diligent worker, loved by his bosses, co-workers, and especially his family. He's survived by his parents, his wife, and 3 children, ages 11, 9, and 2. I said 36, but he was 35 years old. Kev, living where we live as well, in the north end of St. Catharines, there are a lot of farmlands, a lot of vineyards, and we see these people very, very often as we drive through St. Catharines East and out toward Niagara on the Lake and around there, as you would up in the Pelham side of things where all the vineyards are, and there's so much agricultural activity in Niagara. And we see these people all the time, and we see them at banks cashing their checks or depositing their paychecks at the end of the month. And so many of them are on bicycles. It's their, a lot of the time it is their way and their only way, other than walking or hitching a ride, to move around in the community that they live in. And I admit, we don't pay them enough attention. We don't. We just think of them as part of the local landscape, and because the migrant workers have been coming here just, well, in this young man's case, he's 11 years. Some of them, I'm sure, have been coming here longer than that, much longer than that, and still supporting their families in Mexico and other places south of the border. So, but we don't. I don't know. It's like the sky and the earth. We don't pay a lot of attention to these people. We don't pay enough attention to them.
I think we know, everybody knows exactly what you're saying, Lee, and you're right. We don't pay enough attention.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen Fermin, and my heart goes out. I mean, here you have an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 2-year-old back in Mexico with their mother. They know that
they're never going to see their daddy.
They're never going to see their dad again. Ingrained in the community, he's been coming here for 11 years, working at Spring Valley Farms. They said he was beloved by his co-workers, by everybody there. So this isn't a guy that came from Mexico one year. He had roots here. I mean, this was literally his second home.
Yes.
He had friends that were probably more like family when he was in Canada.
And hopefully the GoFundMe efforts, kudos to the person that put that up there. And hopefully that $22,000 will help reunite Fermin Soto Sanchez with his parents, his wife, and his children back in Mexico. Because that's not an inexpensive proposition to transport someone back in this situation. So sad. On top of that, I have a hard time wrapping my head around some of these things that happen in our communities when we're not used to them happening. There was a shooting as well as a stabbing in our area. Police investigating a homicide in St. Catharines. They continue to investigate this. Happened on Sunday. Pleasant Avenue and Lake Street. I don't know, Kevin and I were talking about this before. Do you still call it downtown? It's not far north of the Armories, but it is north of the Armories, right around sort of the Fry Guys Fish and Chips area I still call it downtown St. Catharines. It's the city core anyway. Somebody died there. They still canvassed the area. The deceased victim in this matter, identified as a 33-year-old male. Next of kin for the deceased have been notified. And at the request of his family, no other information regarding his identity, is being released. The second victim in this matter, 32-year-old male, sustained life-threatening injuries. The third victim, a 34-year-old female, received non-life-threatening injuries and is recovering. The ongoing investigation has determined that the victim and suspects had attended a social gathering at a residence on Pleasant Avenue just prior to the shooting. The relationship between the victims and suspects and events leading up to the shooting remains part of the ongoing investigation.
And Lee, I mean, it is scary. You see a lot of comments in this post and then the original post as it was unfolding in the early hours of this past Sunday, of people living in the area and being woken up. You see comments from mothers and fathers saying, "Thank goodness that my children didn't wake up. I didn't want my kids to wake up to gunfire, to gunshots," saying they heard. Some people said 6 shots, 7 shots, 8 shots, but all in that range. I heard one burst. I thought it was fireworks at first, but it was too early in the morning and the shots were too close together. And then, people waking up to Lake Street being blocked off right in Pleasant as the investigation continues.
Yeah, because we saw a post on Niagara 411, what are all these sirens doing? Something's going on. What's happening? Does anybody know? And then, of course, the story unfolded.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, Lee, we don't have much in the way of leads. And I don't know what's going on, and being a police officer is very difficult. Being an investigator, probably even more so. We have
a lot of hanging participles out there.
Yeah, we got the two guys, the motorcycle guys, the armed robbers of the jewelry store at Fairview.
Yeah, nothing there.
Broad daylight, they just take off on the QEW on their motorbike, and we got nothing. I don't want to say we got nothing. Maybe the police do have something. You got 6, 7 shots in the early morning hours downtown St. Catharines at a party, and we seem to have nothing.
In the olden days of media reporting of police investigations and criminal activity or incidents or whatever, there used to, and I don't even know, Kevin, if you're old enough to remember this, there used to be daily briefings live at the police stations in municipalities, and reporters from newspapers, radio in particular, television from time to time if the community had a TV station in it, but definitely newspaper and radio reporters would gather for this daily media conference. And the police investigators and the spokespeople, or at least their media representatives, would be there to answer questions. Just like they do the daily briefings at the White House in D.C. or whatever it is. But those lines of communication don't seem to be open anymore. There was also a thing that happened when morning radio teams came in to go to work in the morning, which was usually about 4 o'clock or so, to get ready to start the morning news run or the morning entertainment run. There'd be what we always referred to back in the early days as the cop checks. So it was the job of the early morning radio news anchor to call the various numbers from the various municipalities and do their cop checks. Anything happened overnight, you're looking at something and get quotes and things, and they'd be able to bring people up to date. None of that happens anymore. A lot of it is because those media people don't exist anymore, and there is no longer any seeming avenue within the police departments to allow that kind of communication or that kind of information exchange to happen. I think we miss a lot, Kevin, by sort of living under our own little umbrellas and in our bubbles.
And thank goodness to Niagara 411, Lee, on Sunday morning, they were the only media outlet here in Niagara to actually have the story. It took, traditional media hours to kind of get out of bed and figure out what was going on. Meanwhile, everybody in and around that area that wasn't woken up at night woke up Sunday morning to find the police tape everywhere, cruisers everywhere. What the heck happened? And where do you turn? And you turn to Niagara 411, and there you have the story. And in the comments, you end up with. Let me just see.
And we hear from people all the time. The cops don't tell us anything. The lawyers don't tell us anything. The judges, nobody tells us anything. Well, that's because we're not asking. We have no avenue anymore to ask. to get an answer. So we don't hear a lot of this stuff.
I mean, it's pretty sad too with some of the commenters, and kudos to the people that keep them in check. Somebody's dead in St. Catharines. Through the comments, identified that the person that did decease himself was a father. So there's a family there that just lost a dad. They're absolutely grieving, and people take the opportunity to make sarcastic jabs at Trudeau about gun laws, and it's just not the time or place. But I mean, you see some of these comments, and I'm thinking with people shot, someone knows who it was. Hope the person's held accountable. My condolences to the family. My thoughts are with the family of those who were injured. I lived around the corner. You know, and there are people here saying that they were woken out of bed.
Yeah.
And then, Lee, you alluded to, I think this was on Monday, all of a sudden the stabbing right by the library, I think.
Yeah, so here we go. Monday, the 13th. Officers called to the area of Church and Carlisle, not very far from where we're sitting right now. Following the report of a stabbing, officers arrived. They located an adult female with injuries. Female was transported to an out-of-town hospital for treatment of her injuries, which were believed to be serious. I would assume so if she'd been taken out of town. She has since been listed in stable condition. Officers determined that the female was involved in an altercation with another group of people when the incident occurred. I'm assuming that means occurred. Shortly after, a suspect was identified and arrested, 20-year-old Jody Turner of St. Catharines, facing the following charge: assault with a weapon. 20-year-old, I know it's a woman at 20, but girl, 20-year-old girl. Anyone with further information, someone do the usual, 688-4111. So many young people in troubled situations and being vulnerable to weapons and late night attacks and bad drugs, and man. And I know that's not a generalization of all 20-year-old females in Niagara, but it hurts me when I think about the age of some of these people and how their lives are tanking before they've even had a chance to live them.
Yep, agree. Lee, the good thing is that there are a lot of good Samaritan stories on Niagara 411, so we will get to some good stories. Yeah,
let's lighten it up a bit, eh?
We also have that great video of the porch pirate, where nothing actually got stolen, but on security cameras, they caught this guy going
I thought
around.
He did pick something up.
Oh, did he?
It looked like
anyway,
he did.
Well,
he came back and grabbed it.
Okay, I want to get to that story, but also want to thank our sponsors. So let's roll through some of them, and then we'll get to the porch pirate.
I've been wanting to get to that for a while now. Thank you to Gales Gas Bars for fueling this program as our title and main sponsor. They are a Rainbow registered company here in Niagara, as you can probably tell by those colorful stripes at the top of this post. They are also a living wage company, the only petroleum-related company in Ontario to be so designated as a living wage company. And also, one of the things that happened a few weeks ago inspired them to come on. Their HR manager came on and joined the program to mention the fact of what this Rainbow registered designation means, and that means that they are friendly or accepting, if you will, and comforting environment for both employees and customers of the LGBT plus community. So you're safe there, be you an employee or a customer, and that's really what that means. So thank you to Gales for staying with us through thick and thin, as they say, because heaven knows the petroleum industry has been getting its share of good and bad headlines over the last little while, with the price of gas and all of those things being what they are. Carlo Zucchini and his gang at Performance Heating and Air, they're a local company as well, Niagara-based, Niagara-founded, and serving families of Niagara and trying to save them money because their families are here too, you know. And Verge Insurance, Mark Shirk, Blake and the gang, Verge Insurance Group, founded decades ago here in Niagara, and they continue to serve all of Niagara's insurance needs. And believe me, we wouldn't have them as paid advertisers and or sponsors of this company if we didn't believe in their company. So we appreciate that. Nick at Niagara 411 and all of the contributors, we're pleased to continue to have this content sharing arrangement with you. I know others tend to share your information without, how you say, it being sanctioned, but we're pleased to be your partners.
To give you an idea, Lee, about the just how powerful Niagara 411 is, I reached out to see if we could get some people on the show that woke up to the gunshots on Pleasant.
Yeah.
And one person responded to me, and the lady said, "Sorry, I don't feel comfortable going on camera. I turned down CHCH as well." So in Hamilton, CHCH, big TV budgets.
Well, sort of.
They're scouring the comments of Niagara 411 to get the lead on the next story. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it truly is where the community goes, and it's proven by that. Lee, I want to get to this the Porch Pirate stuff, but I'll tell you, we got some crazy stuff coming out just while we're live here at Fiddler's Poorhouse.
Okay, do tell. Because that's one thing I can't tap into is the stuff that's happening immediately.
The police have released photos of suspects they're looking for. Remember how Harriet Tubman's school got vandalized, all the graffiti? So they released some photos now of suspects. So we'll get to that in a minute. And I haven't even read this story yet, but how about this? Man arrested after shooting a slingshot BB at a downtown St. Catharines business. A slingshot. A guy shot a
BB out of a slingshot?
Out of a slingshot. So I don't know what's going on, but we'll get to that stuff. But we promised that we would do the Porch Pirate here.
Okay, so this is a common practice, of course. I mean, Amazon or Purelator, whoever drops a package on your front stoop, if does a ding dong or a knock on the doorbell and just leaves, and then the Porch Pirate syndrome began, where people just are walking by and grab this stuff. And as Kevin said, it's a lottery. You have no idea what's inside. So this guy, what happens is the guy comes, if you're watching this, if you're watching the show, it comes from your right and walks to the left along the sidewalk in front of the house. And at some point in time, looks like he's carrying a flashlight. Does it not?
He does.
Does that not look like he's shining a flashlight on the porch? Then he comes back, and I think he reaches up and grabs something off the porch. Right there. Right there he took it. And walks away. Cool as a cucumber. Brazen as you please. Let's go by here. Let's shine a light on the porch. Okay, I see something on the porch. I'm going to not draw attention to myself. I'll go over here. I'll turn off the flashlight. Then I'll come back and we'll just kind of scoop it up. And off we go. And we're going to go home and find out what's in our present that we got tonight.
Yeah, and credit to...
that was in Niagara Falls.
Credit to this household for actually having a security camera...
across the street.
Yeah, pointing back on their front door. But...
that's really smart.
I have to rearrange the cameras in my house because if you think of it, I've got cameras looking at all different areas outside my house, but I don't know that I would ever get anybody's face if they broke in.
No, when you look at this, does he not have... He's got something else, some other light, and it looks like it's in his mouth or something when he comes back. There's another light right there. Looks like he puts it in his mouth.
I think he just puts the... Oh, maybe he's got... I don't know, is that a headlamp on?
Something like that.
Or maybe let's watch him.
Because he's carrying it in his left hand right now, and he's got the flashlight in his right.
Would that just be a cell phone? But I don't know that I'd carry it in my mouth. Because you're right, it does look like he puts it in his mouth.
Yeah. So he turns off the flashlight, puts his other thing on his face or whatever, grabs the parcel, and off we go.
Crazy.
And he's got a backpack and everything. I mean, is he just a kid from the neighborhood? Somebody's got to recognize. I mean, if you're a close friend or a family member of somebody, even if you can't see his face, I mean, I would know. Oh yeah, well that's Benny from down the street. I've seen him. I just made the name up, by the way. It's not Benny. Don't go there. But anyway, Kevin, it just seems Drummond Road area. Drummond Road is a long road, but anyway.
All right, let's get to these vandals. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, they just defaced the crap out of Harriet Tubman School this week.
Now, because it is Harriet Tubman School, could this be classified as a hate crime? Could it be a racially motivated?
I don't think it needs to be Harriet Tubman School, of course. Historically significant woman of color.
Racist and homophobic words and explicit images. Well, I guess it is racist.
Exactly. I say the words themselves.
Yeah. 8 in the morning, St. Catharines uniform officers responded to a report of spray paint damage in a home on George Street near Catherine and St. Catharines. Racist and homophobic words had been sprayed on the house siding using blue and orange paint. They continued to investigate, finding multiple vehicles and buildings targeted in the same way. And it seems like we're focusing this program on St. Catharines. We're really not. We only go where the stories take us. I mean, the Porch Pirate was Drummond Road in Niagara Falls. It just seems, Kevin, that we've had a plethora of rather sensational incidents in the Garden City over the past while.
It's been an absolute crazy weekly, and it all really began there Sunday morning, waking up to a murder at a house party on Pleasant and Lake, and then Monday we got a stabbing, a significant stabbing.
You're trying to tell me that these people were at a social gathering, as they called it, on Pleasant Avenue, and nobody knows anything? Hey, come on, really?
No. Lee, the third suspect here, now we're talking about two different incidents. These suspects here are in the vandalism, and I'll go back to the other one because the police actually detail it wasn't just Harriet Tubman School. There were other surrounding vehicles and homes. But here's the third picture, and somebody must know these guys.
Oh, now that is a fairly decent surveillance camera picture.
From the middle of the night.
Those people, to people that know them, are recognizable.
Somebody knows that guy.
No question.
And the thing is,
These are the vandals.
Yeah, usually for these people, it's consistent with their character, if you know what I mean.
Rednecks.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you already know that these guys kind of run the streets or live their lives this way. So it's not out of character that they would be involved in this. Now, Lee, take a look at this.
Angry, disenfranchised people.
I want to leave their photo up there, but here, take a look at the laundry list here from the NRP.
Officers were able to locate 13 incidents of damage to property. Damaged property includes 2 school buses, 6 passenger vehicles, 3 residences, 1 business, 1 elementary school, statue, sign, school exterior. Collective damages are estimated at more than $5,000. The investigation by detectives has located footage. Suspect 1, male, medium build, wearing light-colored pants, light-colored sweater, baseball hat, black Nike shoes, uses his left hand. Suspect 2, male, thin build, wearing striped hooded sweater, pants, light-colored shoes, and a flat-brimmed hat. The suspects are believed to have traveled in the area on foot or bicycle. The suspects were on George Street, Catherine Street, Albert Street, Henry Street, and Louisa Street. Anyone, residents or businesses in the above area with closed security cameras, doorbell video cameras, or dash cameras are asked to review their footage for suspicious activity. Jeez. Why? What is... I hope... My urgent hope when it comes to things like this is that we are able to catch these people and not even from the standpoint of incarcerating them. I want to understand what makes these people tick. I want to know what's going on in our world that inspires people to do these things. I want to know why. And with the shootings, the horrible mess shootings in the United States that we've had to hear about as well. In 99.9% of the cases, the shooter is killed. I hope they send their brains to some sort of an analytic science, a Mayo Clinic or something, to try to see if there's anything different there. I wish we could take them alive and learn from them, because we've got to learn something, Kevin. Because we can't keep doing the same thing. Like they say, it's the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Well, if we keep living the same way over and over and over, we're not going to get any different results.
Well, it's pretty much what American critics are banging the drum these days, saying that, like, hey, this happened.
We can't keep doing this.
This happened at Sandy Hook, and you did nothing, and now it's happening again. And is your response going to be nothing because you're going to get the same result?
And are we labeling it as a Second Amendment result? I don't think it's necessarily a Second Amendment thing. I think it goes a lot deeper than gun control. It goes to mental illness and societal control beyond gun. Yeah, okay, the gun control is part of it for sure. But anyway.
So then we get into crimes that we're more familiar with in St. Catharines rather than shootings and homicides. But a guy has a slingshot and shoots a BB in a St. I don't even know what this one's about.
Have you got any more on that?
No, we'll find out now.
Man arrested after shooting a slingshot BB. See, now the only thing I understand as a BB is what those little brown copper things that I used to have in a BB gun when I was a kid. But I don't know if it's the same thing. But anyway, a slingshot BB at a downtown St. Catharines business. A couple of days ago, the 15th, this is yesterday, at a business on St. Paul Street near James, again, right over there, and met with the complainant. Officers observed the glass door and a plate glass window had been shattered. Small holes in the glass were found, damage estimated at $2,500. Investigating officer working with the members of the NRPS Real-Time Operations Center were able to review closed-circuit video footage of the downtown area. Suspect was observed riding a skateboard down St. Paul near James Street on yesterday at 10 to 5 in the morning. Nothing good happens on the skateboard at 10 to 5 in the morning. The suspect can be seen retrieving a slingshot and a metal BB and shooting the front of the business, breaking the glass. Just, as they say, Kevin, just for shits and giggles. Just for fun, I'll bet. He probably had nothing against the business. Didn't even know who it was. At approximately 10 a.m., Matthew Dean Bodo, 31 years of age, was arrested. 31-year-old on a skateboard, 10 to 5 in the morning. Yeah, whoopee, what a life.
My assumption is of no fixed address. But look, it wasn't his first time.
They reviewed footage from a similar damage incident on the 10th of June. In that incident, a male suspect was observed riding a skateboard on St. Paul near Carlisle, again in this area, when they used a slingshot to shoot the glass window of a business in the area. In that case, damage $5,000. Bodo has been charged with a criminal offense of mischief under $5,000, later released on a Form 10, which is just an agreement to appear. And as usual, if anyone has any information, call it in. Not sure. I mean, what do you say?
Senseless vandalism.
Nonsensical. It's just nonsensical stuff. And to go to law enforcement's, I know police officers will say, "Yep, we get them in. They'll get a slap on the wrist. They'll pay a fine, and they're going to be out." And out they go. And I guess that's, what can you do? It's a BB through a window, and it's $5,000 in the scheme of flood, famine, pestilence, and war. It doesn't mean a whole hill of beans. But it does to the people that get their windows broken.
Yeah, no. Luckily here at Fiddler's Lee, all windows panes are intact.
All window panes are intact. There is plenty of room for you to come in and have yourself a nice lunch or dinner in the window. And on the warmer days, we could have done it today, actually, perhaps, but the weather's been kind of changeable, and there was a threat of showers and all that, so we left the window closed. But that whole door is like a garage door of major proportions. Up it goes, and it's like being on a patio that isn't a patio. And oh, by the way, Fiddler's Poorhouse patio is reestablished in the rear of the restaurant, in the alley that runs off James Street, just behind St. Paul. All right, so and you can use that patio as well. The patio was born, as a lot of patios were born, as a result of needs stemming from COVID-19. They didn't. It was strictly a parking lot for customers and staff back in the day. But as a result of the COVID thing, there's a shot of it right there. It's a nice patio out the back. So that's available here at Fiddler's Poorhouse as well. We are at
I didn't know that, Lee.
the bar.
You met a nice little tiki bar back there.
The tiki bar. That's the word I was looking for. I don't see a tiki, but I see the bar.
Yeah, beautiful. I didn't know they had that.
I didn't.
That's
either.
awesome. That's an addition.
I think it's new since last year.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Yeah.
So you can come back and sit in the back and enjoy the sunshine, or again, sit right by the glass.
Yeah. So thanks to Fiddlers for allowing us to use your premises here. Again, Gales Gas Bars fuels this program as our title sponsor every week. Performance Heating and Air also sticks close by us, and Verge Insurance Group. Kevin, Jack, Brandon Scram, co-founders of WeeStream, Canada's premier streaming service. And Kevin, at the risk of repeating ourselves, I do want to go back to the beginning of the show and have you give us a bit of an update on the Trina Blagden funeral that took place on Saturday, because as everybody knows, we've been covering this very, very thoroughly since New Year's Eve of 2021, and Kevin and I both feel emotionally connected to this family and to this story, and we don't really know them other than through this platform. And Kevin and Brandon and WeeStream reached out to the Blagden family and said, hey, free of charge, if you're interested in streaming Trina's funeral service on Saturday, we're there for you. They graciously accepted and said thanks. It was a great offer and took a weight off our shoulders, because it was something that we wanted to do but didn't know how. And Kevin, you pick it up from there.
It was a moving service. There were lots of tears shed. I mean, I didn't talk to anybody there. I did my job, laid low, and got out. In the days that have passed, I did receive a very nice thank you note from Kelly, the sister. And we did receive lots of comments of thanks, not just in the Niagara 411 group, but also in the Trina Army group on Facebook. And I'll tell you, we were so happy to do it. And I replied and said, I did this out of the kindness of my heart. And no recognition was expected, nor was it required.
Yeah.
I put it this way, Lee. So many people wrapped up and emotionally invested in the disappearance of Katrina Blagden and the human stories.
So many of us citizens, and so many people showed up to search every weekend.
And that's where I was going, is that a lot of people donated what they could. For some people that meant money. For some people that meant hospitality. For some people it was food. For some people it was
just
the ability
their time
to go searching and their time. For me, this is what I could offer, and I was very happy to do so.
Well, we're proud of you for that, and I'm glad you guys had the time.
Yeah, there were portions of the service where they sang songs with the lyrics in the notes, and everybody encouraged to sing songs that were near and dear to the heart of Katrina and her family.
And this,
I see many people wearing green.
Yeah, which was her favorite color. Was a favorite color of her Jeep. That was part of the story. This took place, by the way, at George Dart Funeral Home in Niagara. So that's why it's set up that way with the temporary chairs, etc. It wasn't actually in a place of worship or a church. It was in their chapel there.
Lee, I want to remind everybody that the show is open. It's wide open. There's a Zoom link that we put there. It's actually in the comments and also in the post. So if anybody wants to comment on the disappearance of Katrina Blagden, maybe all the violence that we've seen in St. Catharines and Niagara, please click the link and come on in, or maybe there's something we haven't touched on. Maybe you can lighten our mood, because it does seem to be like, homicides, stabbings, BB guns.
Yeah, it's like it's one sort of dark story after another, and I really want to talk to somebody that knows something about Nick Adamson. That just I don't know. On a happier note, just quickly, I want to shout out to the Canadian women's hockey champs. They beat the United States for gold yesterday. So well done in this society of hockey zealots. The women are coming out on top again. Gold medals for the under-18 tournament girls. So that is awesome that they were able to do that. Now, here's my question of the morning, rhetorical question of the day. How do you get 6 major water main breaks in one section of a city? Here's another St. Catharines story. People from Welland and Port Colborne and Fort Erie and Waynfleet and Grimsby and Beamsville and Niagara on the Lake, please weigh in, because I realize that we're sounding very St. Catharines-centric today.
Yeah, but this post, when it went up, was puzzling.
It was. And that's why I wanted to mention it now. I'm assuming that they're addressing it now, but there had to be an awful lot of water around there, because you see in the Port Weller, sort of the main, what you would mainly call Port Weller, and then across the canal to northeast St. Catharines. There's Port Weller East, Happy Rolf's there just off Reed Road. 6 major water main breaks seemingly at the same time in the same area. It's almost like there's a water main break attack or conspiracy. Where the heck does that come from?
That was weird. Here's a Good Samaritan story, Lee, that I want to...
Okay, Kevin.
Now, can you read that? I just got to go adjust a camera outside.
I can read that. I'll do my best anyway. And Nick writes a very sweet story from Niagara Falls today. I was at Timmy's today in the Falls having coffee with a friend, and this random woman walked up to me, handed me a rolled up piece of paper, and said, "Hi, this is for you," and walked out of Timmy's. I opened it to find a $5 bill and a note, and the note is attached. Not something I was expecting. If by chance she sees this post, you have no idea what that did for me with everything going on in the world. And the note you'll see at the bottom along with the $5 bill is addressed to Dear Stranger, and it says something to the effect of, for all those times you thought you weren't good enough, etc., you were more than good enough.
You probably want to read that note, eh?
I'll read the note.
Well, I'll get to it then.
Yeah, don't touch me, Kevin. I was getting there. I kind of remembered what it said. For all the times you felt you weren't enough, I want to reassure you that you are more than enough. And then little hearts surrounding a number 143. I don't know what that means, but it means something to somebody. But what it does mean is somebody who obviously was a stranger wanted to make somebody else feel good. I don't know how much of a stranger they were. It seems like they know something about something, but I don't care even what it is. It was just a nice thing to do, period. And it almost pays for a cup of coffee these days.
Yeah, Lee, can I tell you my story? I almost forgot about this. Oh, gosh, here we go.
Okay.
On Saturday, I think it was Saturday evening, my wife and I decided that we were going to go to the Lazy Lizard. So went to the
Up
Lazy
on
Lizard
Ontario
on
Street.
Ontario Street and had dinner there, and it was great. And there was...
What'd you have?
I had the roasted chicken.
Yeah?
It's a really good. Yeah, the roasted chicken's good.
I had some of their Mexican things there one time. They were pretty good, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there was a family behind us, and an older couple and their daughter. So their adult daughter was about my age, and her parents were in their 80s. And for whatever reason, this man was sparked that he came over and just shared a nice story with us, talked about the kids, and he remembered being that age because our kids are 8 and 7 years old.
Did he know you?
No. Never met the guy, and he just came over to our
It just
table.
wandered over.
Yeah, and we just struck up a conversation, and we noted, boy, I wish more people would do this. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to pay it forward. So on my way to the bathroom, I stopped off at the bar and talked to the waitress and said, hey, put their bill on our bill.
You did.
I said, put their
What a
bill,
guy.
Put their bill on their bill. It was about $46. Said, all right, fine. Came down, didn't make any mention of it. Of course, when their bill came, they went, oh gosh. And then before they left, the daughter came over and gave us a $40 gift card.
For what?
For Lazy Lizard,
Yeah.
which we put on our bill. So, you know, you try and pay it forward, and somebody says, thank you very much for paying it forward.
giving
it was
it
such a
back.
nice gesture. I'm doing it back.
Isn't that
Yeah.
what a great story, Kevin?
Yes, that was actually something that, you know, put smiles on all of our faces, and it was
That's
it was
great.
quite nice. I want to scroll forward to, I think, the Montebello Park one.
Just let me know when you're going out to dinner next, and I'll sit close by.
You'd have to talk to me, Lee.
Oh, I have to talk to you? All right. A very sweet gesture in St. Catharines. Again, St. Catharines story. Yesterday afternoon, a resident from Mount Carmel Retirement Home was looking through the grass at Montebello Park when a gentleman stopped and asked what she was looking for. She told the man that she had lost the key to her room and that if she didn't find it, she would have to pay for the replacement. Unfortunately, they were unable to find her key. Later in the day, this man came to Mount Carmel Retirement Home and gave the resident money to purchase her key replacement. Thanks so much to this gentleman for his kindness. This woman has been having a really difficult time the last couple of weeks, and his act of kindness from the stranger in the park is deeply appreciated. Excellent. Excellent stuff. So, amidst the darkness, there are beams of light from time to time, and they are so very important. Here's another one. The night of June the 8th, around 11 p.m., a male tripped over a curb while running to catch a bus near the Harvey's parking lot, seriously injuring his leg, broken femur. That's a serious major bone break right there. He and his family would like to thank the individual who came to his aid. That person heard him scream for help and quickly came to his aid and called 911. They asked that I post a thank you to the person, as the outcome could have been very different if you hadn't intervened. Another good one. And there are many of those. Here's another one. Thanks to coming to this lady's aid, Hillary. Way to go, was the post from Nick. Here's the story. I wanted to share a feel-good story with you. Today I was stuck in the rain, walking home, and this complete stranger stopped and asked if I was okay and needed a ride. Her name was Hillary. I just want to shout out and say a big thank you to her. It's nice to see there are still good people out there. There's a lot of good people out there. Most people out there are good. The lion's share, the majority of people out there are good. But as per usual, if it bleeds, it leads, as they used to say in the old journalistic days. And we often hear so much about the bad and the negative that oftentimes the positive and the bright lights are dimmed for us and we miss them. So this is one of the services that is provided by Niagara 411 just because people send these things in and it's become the norm, so that we do hear about the majority of people out there that are good people.
Now,
So
Lee,
that's great.
I left a comment on here because I don't know, this one struck me, and people were saying similar things in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see here. Oh, they've
So
filtered
Oprah.
mine out because apparently it was not relevant.
They took yours out?
No, it's in there. It's just when you sort by most relevant, they get.
So you put irrelevant comments up?
Apparently, I did.
I'm sorry. I'm just giving you the gear.
No, absolutely, I must have.
Yep.
And let's see.
Kevin
maybe-
Jack's comments are irrelevant, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, pretty much. That's, well, you know what? Maybe it's.
Please
I
don't
know.
believe me. I just
Maybe it's gone. I don't know, Lee, but something to the effect that, you can't do that anymore. Oh, here you go. There was my.
there you are.
Yeah.
Catherine, it's very sad. That's what society has become, and I agree with all of you. As a man, I've been in the situation where I don't want to offer help but don't because of the legal creep implications. I get it through.
I get it though. Just
I get it though.
Wish it wasn't like
just
that.
wish it wasn't like that. And you know, Kevin, I've thought about that so many times in situations where there's a female or a child, even worse, a child that appears to need attention for one reason or another. It doesn't matter. Maybe they don't. I don't know. But it's just something might look a little off. And I hesitate because the last thing that a family needs is to think some older white guy is being inappropriate with their child or a female, because they jump to these conclusions, and not necessarily unjustifiably because of the things that go on out there. You know, you just can't do that anymore, and it's a shame that you can't do it, because a lot of people miss being helped because of the fears of being labeled some sort of an offender. The people that I feel the most empathy for are teachers of young children. In my day, if I was a 7 or 8 year old kid in school, which I was, and I fell and scraped my knee or whatever, I mean, my grade 1 and 2 teacher, Mrs. Penny would give me a hug and give me a kiss on the cheek and say, "It's going to be okay. We'll get the nurse. We'll get a Band-Aid on it or whatever." You can't do that now. You can't hug a child in your school. You can, but you risk being in trouble.
Here, Lee, just as we wrapped up our show last week.
Our blimp.
Now, is your assumption this had to do with the golf?
Yeah.
That's my assumption, right? That's what it was.
Oh
here
yeah,
for?
had to be the Canadian Open for sure. That was being played at Royal St. George's. Well, I think they just call it St. George's now in Toronto. Of course, I've been at a few times. But yeah, I see no other reason for the Goodyear blimp to be up here over the weekend other than the Canadian Open.
Yeah, and
It didn't happen by accident.
I mean, all these. I actually took a video of it and posted it here as well. I mean, here's somebody else's video of the Goodyear blimp. Just
That's so cool to have the blimp up here.
I was happy to show my kids because you don't see them too often. You know, we see helicopters, we see planes. The Lancaster bomber will swing by,
No, Canada does not do blimps.
but we don't see blimps very often.
No, we don't
so
do
I was very
blimps.
happy to point out to my kids.
Yeah. Too bad it wasn't the Snoopy one.
And nothing more iconic than the Goodyear blimp, I gotta say.
No,
Lee.
no, that's the blimp to blimp of all blimps.
You're right. If we're gonna have a blimp competition, the
If
Goodyear
you're gonna
blimp,
have a blimp, you gotta have the Goodyear blimp.
that's the blimp.
That's the blimp right there. Have a good year.
That's some good blimping.
Hee-haw.
But yeah, everybody.
That's
you know,
awesome. Can you imagine that would be a cool job? I mean, I know a lot of people like to fly. There are a lot of pilots that fly private planes, but that would be a cool job. You wouldn't want to read the Hindenburg story too often, but it would be a cool job to have.
Oh, the humanity, Lee.
Oh, the humanity. There you go. Flying right over Niagara. Yeehaw.
Look, everybody taking pictures and videos. And
Also want to give a nod and a tip of the Beau Chapeau to Beau Chapeau on Queen Street in Niagara-on-the-Lake. We had a really cool chat a couple of weeks ago with Kevin Neufeld, the owner-operator of Beau Chapeau, and believe me, when you do your tourism thing in Niagara-on-the-Lake, go in and see the store. I picked my summer straw for today's show. Seemed to match the weather. Of course, it kind of
There you
matched
go.
the
It's little
shirt
Father's
too.
Day. On Sunday, June 19th, it's Father's Day.
Look at that. So many beautiful hats in there. And for all seasons and reasons too. I mean, there's toques and there's earmuffs and there's like any kind of headgear, male and female, that you want. Check it out.
Yeah, and I got to say, and remind, it's their 25th anniversary, and I think they're doing a $250 draw or $250
That's right.
draw every month.
Every month.
So, like you said, when you're in Niagara-on-the-Lake and strolling around, make sure you stop in and see.
No, isn't it
Kevin
every
and the
week
team.
in June?
I think they're doing it every month through the summer,
Oh, okay. All right.
something like that.
Yeah, it's on the interview, by and fill out a ballot for it. No purchase necessary, but believe me, you'll want to buy something. It's hard to walk out of there without buying something. I only go in there when I know that I'm going to walk out with a
Look at
hat.
this.
Oh yeah,
Indiana
the authentic hat. There's
Wow.
they're so cool.
Cool stuff up there.
Yeah, and there's snap brims, and there's golf hats, and there's like all kinds. Sometimes 10,000 hats on site, and if you've got a hat that's a family heirloom or something like that that was damaged or needs refurbishing, they've got the only place now in the country that can do it right on site. They just opened that, so can't say enough about them, and I appreciate being able to wear their products on this show. Kevin, things that have happened over the course of the week. The vaccine, as of the 20th, the vaccine restrictions for domestic air travel are going to be lifted in Canada. And for departing to international destinations, people on international flights will still have to show proof to get back into the country. But finally, all those people that said no, I'm not getting vaccinated, they can get on a Canadian airplane as of the 20th of this month. Still have to wear a mask, but you don't have to show a vaccination. How do you feel about that? I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I'm fine with it. Does that
And
make
those
sense?
people, the other thing is the people that were laid off or fired by the government or their businesses because of the policy of needing proof of vaccinations, that's off the table too. They can go back to work.
Really?
Yep.
I feel happy. A buddy of mine that I ran into, he lost his job at Canada Post over his stance. I'm happy he's going to be able to go back to work.
Okay.
But I don't agree with it. The funny thing I find, Lee, is the number of anti-vax people that are still looking to either start an argument or claim victory and say like, aha, look what's happening. I'm like, yeah, I got the jab 3 times and I'm perfectly healthy. Like, I've had no ill effects. You've had no ill effects, so
the anti-vaxxers will claim victory over this one because they see we waited it out and now they've admitted it's not necessary. That's going to be the stance.
Yeah, and it's not necessary because the rest of us
got it.
Had to wait out your resistance.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, everybody lost at the end. Nobody won. Everybody lost.
Did I send you, before we go to our musical guest, did I send you the link to the Whiskey War shot? Did I send you that?
I'm not sure, Lee. Let me go to the archives.
Okay, I think I did.
Okay. And you explain while I pull up the photo.
I will. There is a barren rock that is referred to as an island, I guess, but it's just a barren rock sitting in the Arctic between Newfoundland and Greenland, I believe. So, since the beginning of time, there's been a friendly dispute over this useless hunk of rock between Canada and Denmark, both of them claiming that it's theirs. So they have ended decades-long dispute, as that headline says, over Hans Island, and they finally come to some sort of agreement of how they're going to designate ownership or possessionship or the rights of passage around this rock. Because for decades, Denmark claimed that it was owned by Greenland. Canada said, no, it's Canadian. So, and why they called it Whiskey Wars is there was a Denmark official years ago. You can read about it yourself. Anyway, he went to the island and he planted a flag. And he put a bottle of booze, some high-end bourbon or something, along with a note that said, here's to Denmark's Hans Island, welcome, or whatever. And it was his way of toasting whoever came to that rock and found the Danish flag. Well, then it's been going back and forth. The Canadian would go there, take the bottle, put the Canadian flag up, and put a bottle of something else there and say, welcome to Canada's Hans Island, or whatever it is. So this has been going back for years, and there were these whiskey bottles kept changing hands. It was a good-natured, what never was a dispute, but it was a fun thing that's been going on between the two countries, and apparently they settled it this week. So at least one war is over around the planet. One which will never affect your life, but I thought it was kind of a cute story. Ladies and gentlemen, we have pretty much reached the end of our extravaganza known as Niagara 411 Live at Lee Sterry, fueled by Gales Gas Bars, supported by Performance Heating and Air, Verge Insurance, powered by WeeStream and our executive producer, Kevin Jack. And we are about to have a Thunderclap, local Niagara artist, play us off the stage. We try to have musical artists with local connections every week to wrap up the program. This week, no exception. Thunderclap is going to be here with Be Resurrected Tonight. You guys have yourselves a good rest of the week. We're back on Wednesday again next week, just so you know, and a great weekend. It's been a pleasure. Kev, thanks as always. My esteemed pleasure working with you. I'm Lee. Have yourself a great day. Bye.